Hey, it's the Chief, Bonding with Board Games. We're going to take a look at a preview copy, about ready to go to Kickstarter, of Panzerkampf, Armored Clash miniatures game. All right, I'm zoomed in on a T-34. I wanted to come in on a close shot. I will back off, show you the table here in a second. This is a miniatures game. There is no board, so the minis are what it's all about. You will see the white and red arrow facing to the rear. This T-34, the T-34-41, actually can use 3 movement points, but it can only use 1 movement point to reverse, so I just have that sitting there. The little front piece here, that's just there. Anybody that's ever played hex encounter games knows that that front angle, it's almost like the hex that would be in front of you. That's the front of your tank. And in this game, you will have cards. Let me find one. So you'll have cards. All right, I'll take photos of that so you can see it. The cards will really tell you everything you need to know about your particular tank. But obviously, hitting a tank in its front is where it's usually most armored, and where your turret is facing matters, and let me show you something with the turret. So you can see the turret just pops out, which means that it's kind of weighted. I mean, it's just plastic, but it's a separate piece, and I'll go over it in a little bit, but you'll be moving. You'll then be moving your turret if you wish. Then you'll be determining, is there any other enemy tank within your turret's line of sight? So you might be using a piece of string or a straight edge. And as long as there's no structure or trees or whatever in the way, you can shoot at that target, whatever that target is. Now, if the tank was shooting back at me, let's assume the one my turret's aimed at can see me, he would actually be aiming at the side of my tank, which is going to have less armor protection, although the T-34 is pretty good, than my front. 50 millimeters of armor on my front, 45 on my side and rear if I'm the T-34, but it's easier to penetrate, and I may not want to present my side, but sometimes you're stuck. So that's some of the optics that you'll be seeing. A turn phase, and I'll end up putting up photos of the different tanks. I'll pull out here in 1 second to show the whole battle area. It's your table. Your table's your battle area, and you'll be either putting terrain, wooden or terrain cardboard tiles down, and you'll be defining your play space. But I'll show you that in a second. So let me pull the cards up, and I'll put them on the screen. All right, I've got the 2 tank cards up. So let me just point out, you've got your photos for both. You can see the number in the lower right-hand corner of the photo. So for the Panzer IV, it's a 20. T-34, it's a 30. That's just if you were, you got allotted, whatever, 100 points to build your force. And I've got, this is all pre-production, but they sent me some extra sculpts or some extra minis. Not available in this base game, but you'll see a Stug 3, a Tiger, a KV-1. So it looks like in the future, you'll be able to use these numbers to kind of build up a unique force. You'll see the armor thickness, both front, side, rear. And then you can see the primary armament right below that, and then the penetration at D1, D2, 3, 4, and 5 range. Now, I'll throw in a little side picture right now that shows you how you'll break up your table into that D1 through D5 range, and then I'll pull back and I'll just show you what I've done on my table. So I've got a pretty big table here, but I want to show you, there is my border for the back side of my play space. Those are 30 centimeters apart. And so I've got 3 sections, 30 centimeters each, giving me that 90 centimeters. And then it'll probably be easier if I follow along on the front end. So you can see this one here. There's 30 centimeters over. And this will continue down as I go. And then there's one crossing way over here until I get all the way down to this little edge. You got one here, and then there's one down here that comes across to define my play space. And it's way down there, but that is A Panzer IV making a slight right turn so that he can come in behind these buildings right there in those trees. So again, as we come out, you can see if you've got a big table space, you can have quite the battle. So when you first fire at a tank, if it's in a clear space or a wooded space, or if it's hull down, just to hit it, you roll 2 dice and you have to hit the number. So let's say it's in a clear space, you'd have to hit that 9 or lower. Depending on your ranges, you can see you would have to, D3, you would do a +1 to those 2d6 rolled, making it harder to hit at range. Then after you've hit, that's when you would come in and determine, okay, facing. Well, I got to defeat whatever, 50 millimeters of armor. Can my gun do it? Yes, it's destroyed. No, but I did hit it. I may have a critical hit. Bam, I'm going to roll for it and see if I've done any damage or anything else to my target. So let me go over the phases real quick. So initiative phase, you're both going to roll a d6, and whoever wins will move second. You'll have a repair phase, so if something had happened to my tank, maybe the gun isn't working, I could attempt a repair at this point in time. I would enter my movement phase, which is where, depending on my card and what my movement is, so the T-34 can move 3 of those arrows forward. I'll then move to my turret movement phase. That's the cool part, where I could rotate that turret around. You'll actually roll a die for this as well. Now again, it's me moving that turret whatever amount I like, with it mattering, because depending on how I now move my tank, where that barrel's pointed is what it can shoot at. And then we move into the firing phase, which I've already kind of explained. I'm going to throw in some photos of some of the other tank examples that the company sent to me, just so you can see them. Again, everything's pre-production, and these will not be available in this kit. They are tanks that are planned for the future, but I'm sure a lot of that depends on how this Kickstarter goes. So that should give you a nice overall or preview of Panzerkampf Armored Clash. So again, everything you've seen is not final versions of anything. This is a preview copy, but those minis look pretty darn good. And if you like tactical games, that's number one, and you like games where you're maneuvering as miniatures and you're using a big table space or a diorama, then I think you're going to be interested in this. Everything on the cards in the combat is very straightforward. The best thing about really any miniatures game is you're literally looking, where's your cannon pointed? Is there anything between you and the target you're shooting at that I like to use a little piece of thread, crosses? Yes. Okay, you don't have a clear shot. Or, boom, I've got a clear shot, and it's hitting the side of the tank. Look at the card. What's the armor thickness? What kind of gun am I shooting? Did I penetrate? If so, I've taken out the tank. If not, did I get a critical? And then back we are to maneuvering again. And you can see momentum and movement and turret position is huge in the game. So if it's your kind of thing, take a look at the Kickstarter. It's coming up, I want to say November 25th, 2021. All that could move around and change, or maybe I'm completely addled and I have the wrong date. Check it out.